Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Pulls Pod. This week, we are joined by Daniel. Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I am not too bad yet. Just a one-on-one this week. It's getting towards the business end of the season now. Even though after last week's result, it doesn't feel like there's any business to be had anymore. I think Daniel probably agree with me that it felt like we had to win that game to give us sort of hope going into the final games, and unfortunately, came out on the wrong end.
Yeah, we're if we were going to have any chance of getting into it, then I think a win, especially against a team who's scrapping it down at the bottom end of the table, was a must for us. Um, we're still six unbeaten, but it's a bit of a long shot at the minute. Too many draws killed us this season, really. But yeah, it's another consolidation season, I'm afraid, I think is on the cards for us.
And you were saying at the beginning there, before we came on to record, about quite a remarkable stat regarding Pulls managers and draws this season.
Yeah, so by my reckoning anyway, this is by my maths, so please bear with me. There's been no Pools manager this season who has won more than they've drawn. So, for instance, Darren Saul had 15 games in charge. He won four, drew five, and lost six. Uh,
Feels like more, doesn't it?
yeah, it does feel like more. Lenny Lawrence, he lost four, but yeah, sorry, he lost. He's drawn eight and won five, and Librick drawn five, won four. So that's kind of an indictment of our season, if you want to put it that way.
It does
It's
sum up the season in that we've been difficult to beat, but we just haven't been able to find the winner.
Yeah, well, we played 42 games in the league, another three in the cup. So what's that, 45 games? We've only lost 14.
Yeah, it is a pretty good total, but unfortunately, if you're not turning them into victories, it'll keep you out of the relegation zone, but it won't get you into the upper reaches of the table where we want to be.
Yeah, it's not exciting. It's safe, is what it is. It's nothing more you can say, really. It's it's Bristol City in the championship, isn't there? There's three things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and Bristol City finishing 12th.
To be fair,
So
I've always held the opinion that Preston will be in the Championship until the sun explodes. It just feels like Preston have never been in League One, and it feels like they haven't been in the top flight since since the old days, like the really old days in the 19th century.
what's it? Bobby
Um,
Charlton was manager.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a one of those in it where it just feels like we've chosen the steady path too many times this season.
Yeah.
We've just sort of not necessarily held out for a point, but we've been content with the point in that we haven't really looked to push on in games. The players haven't gone and got the second goal because in a lot of games where we've went in front, we've just sat back on a 1-0 lead. And then in the end, it kills you, doesn't it?
It reminds me a lot of when Craig Harrison was in charge.
Yes.
He was, I mean, I thought he was right man at the very much the wrong time for us.
I
And
have heard that said quite a bit about Craig Harrison.
yeah, I think he was. I think there was a lot of negative stuff said about him at the time without us really knowing. He did a podcast actually, didn't he, with what's it called? What's it called? Mickey Barrett's podcast.
Twitcher player.
Such a player, that's the one. I listened to that and I actually had a lot of respect for him afterwards from some of the absolute rubbish that was going on behind the scenes. But the link, obviously, the tenuous link there is I always felt like we were playing for a half-time draw.
Yeah, in terms of trying to hit people in the second half rather than the first.
Yeah, just let's not get beat this first half and see what happens and see if we can nick a goal second half. And I feel like this is kind of what we're like this season. We've we've recognised that the last couple of seasons we've conceded far too many. So we've tightened up at the back. Even so tightening up at the back, we're still not keeping enough clean sheets for my liking. But we're not getting beat. We're tough to beat, which is great. But we're also not just putting it away at the right times. I mean, Manny's well off this season. He still scored 14, but I think this time last season he'd scored about 22. So if he
Yeah.
was firing on all cylinders and we're hard to beat at the back, we'll probably turn half of these draws into wins.
Yeah, more than likely. I mean, looking at the Dagenham game specifically, went in front. There was the moment before that where, as you mentioned, Manny D hasn't converted as many chances as we'd like him to this season, and he missed from 12 yards. Did you see the penalty? It was. I saw
I
that highlight.
I
I haven't
did,
seen all
yeah.
of them, but it was a very weak
It
penalty,
was.
wasn't it?
It's their keeper's all right as well. He's played for Newcastle a few years ago, a young lad at Newcastle.
Hmm.
And he's played a fair few times for Gillingham as well. He's decent. I'd actually like him at Pools, if I'm honest. Um, Not the best penalty in the world. Manny doesn't need me to tell him that. Um, but we kind of got him out of the stick with with the goal. I think it's gone down as an own goal, hasn't it? It
It
certainly
has,
looks
yeah. I
like
think it
it.
came off. Yeah, it came off the Dagenham player at the end of it.
Yeah, so we kind of got him out of trouble there, but then shot ourselves in the foot, going down to 10 men. Kind of throws the game plan out the window. We can't press as much really. We leave gaping holes at the back. Just it knacks you.
It does, and looking specifically at the red card that you mentioned there, Louis Stevenson back in the side recently and looking in decent form, I would say. I wouldn't say he's been a well beater by any stretch, but he's looked okay at the back and he's gone forward, provided a bit of thrust. But unfortunately, it just looked as though a head loss incident has cost him his place in the match and potentially pulls going on and getting all 3 points.
It's a learning curve for him. He's a young lad. He's going to make mistakes. You've got to let him make mistakes because if he doesn't make those mistakes, then he's never going to get better. He'll never do this again,
No,
which is guaranteed. Um, if I'm honest, I think him going out on loan to Whitby has done him the absolute world of good because he looks a different player. Um,
yeah,
he's got still got loads to learn. He's only a young lad, but
that's
I think
true.
we've got a player there in a decent right back, and I'm all about seeing good young local kids come through and playing for the club. So I've got no issues with him whatsoever. If I'm honest, stupid getting sent off the weekend doesn't need us to tell him that he'll never do that again, and he'll learn from it.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, he's only 19, so he's still got plenty of years to go. I think if he does that again, sort of in either the end of the season, if he does it again, that's when you start to say, well, you should have learned from it the first time. But
Yeah.
it is a learning curve for him. It's also very interesting as well because we were also speaking about Cardiff before we came on air as well, and he was born in 2005 in October, so he wasn't alive when Pulls were at Cardiff, which is a painful statistic to point out, isn't it?
Why have you said that to me? That's absolutely minging.
It is
I
disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's absolutely disgusting. I mean,
We've
I'm still coming to terms with the fact that I'm 20 years out of school next month. It's absolutely disgusting.
it's 11 for me. 2014 it was. That was yeah, that feels like a very long time ago for me.
Yeah.
But yes, 10th of October 2005, if anyone wants to pencil out in the diary to say happy birthday on social media. And yeah, like I say, he is young. He'll get over that and he will come back as you'd expect. And it was a second yellow, wasn't it? So he'll only be out for one game. He'll be only
Yeah,
out
it's
for
just
Oldham.
one.
Yeah, so there is also another incident as well. We'll come on to the different divisions later on, because now that we are fairly confident we'll be in the division next season, it feels appropriate to look at who might come down from League Two, who might go up, who might come down, etc., from different divisions. And there was an incident very similar to Louis Stevenson over the weekend with regards to Dorking, who were in the National League South. They could come up next season. It's looking unlikely they'll come up automatically. I think they're a little bit too far off, but they are in the playoffs. And there was an incident there which you pointed out to me before we came on air as well.
Yeah, Josh Taylor for Dorking. He got sent off for a very peculiar incident where the referee made him trot back 25 yards to take a throw in from an incorrect place. He switched the ball to the right back to give him the throw to take in and sent him off. So a very peculiar incident, and he's quite a key player for them as well. And he's actually one that I wouldn't mind at Pools. There's a couple of lads actually at Dorking who I wouldn't mind at Pools. There's a lad, the young lad Brookin, who's a centre half right back. He looks a player. Signed him from Chelsea. I'd have him at Pools in a heartbeat. But yeah, a very peculiar one, and even the statement from Dorking that we both read just a couple of minutes ago. It's sort of thanks for admitting that you were wrong, but you're still not rescinding the red card. So
Because it
it's
was two yellows, it's important to say that's just the
yeah,
rules, isn't it? It feels like a strange rule, but because it wasn't a
it
straight red
does.
card, they can't rescind it.
It is. It's. I think when it's quite blatantly an error like that, and they've admitted, look, it's we've actually made an absolute howler here. I think a bit of common sense has to come into it, but then when it's common sense and football, they've gone in hand in hand.
Yeah, that's very true. And looking, we spoke last week, myself and the guest last week about the youth team. So we've spoken about Louis Stevenson coming through. We must say as well, congratulations to Josh Masfari as well. He's won the title with Redcar at the
Yeah,
weekend and kept, I believe it's 26 clean sheets now for Redcar while he's been there.
I think I
Another
read
one,
that they're on plus 86 goal difference.
which is ridiculous in any
Yeah,
level of football.
insane.
I mean, I don't know how many they've scored and conceded that, but given that he kept 27, 26 clean sheets, you'd imagine it's
Can't be
not very
many.
high. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, that is an outstanding record for him as well. I'm sure it's a fairly obvious question, but you'd like to see him being given a chance next season.
yeah, absolutely. Um, he's got to be he's got to be consistent number two next season. The loans have done him a world of good. I think he had three or four loans out last season. Played bits parts here and there, but it's men's football and it's different. And I don't care what anybody says, 24 plus clean sheets in a season is not to be sniffed at.
At any level.
Yeah, it just you can quite blatantly see he's below his level, but they've got a really good side actually, Redcar. They've got a lot of good ex-pros there. And it's I think they're a really good side. But yeah, 20 plus clean sheets in a season, it's only a good thing for us.
Yeah, would you see him? Could you potentially see him starting next season as the number one if he has a good pre-season, if he shows any quality? Or would you prefer seeing perhaps Joel Dixon if he returns from his injury and progresses well in his therapy and rehab? Would you see him potentially understudying
If I'm
Joel
honest, I don't
Dixon?
think Dixon will be here next season.
Yeah.
But I think it's for all you fans of an older generation, I think it's going to be a kind of Tony Williams, Jim Provitt situation where I think Smith will probably start the season, and as soon as he has a howler, I think he'll stick him in and just see how you go.
Yeah.
And I'd like nothing more than for him to have as good a season as Jim Provitt had that season.
Yeah, it will be one of those where potentially the back line could be the foundation for then moving forward in the league potentially. And we spoke as well last week about youngsters in general coming through the academy. They did restructure the academy not too long ago as well in order to progress. It can only be good for the club and for the town to see youngsters from the area, from schools in the area as well, coming
Mhm.
through and hopefully making that step up to the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got lads out on loan at the moment. I mean, lads who have been in and around the first team, like Campbell Darcy and Max Story, Alfie Steele. They've all gone out and played men's football this year, and they're all tearing it up. And I know people will just turn around and say, "Why Max Story scored five for West Auckland?" I'm just like, "Yeah, but he's
Scored
what an
though.
18-year-old kid playing in a league where they just kick you up a height, and he's scoring goals in that division, and it's giving him a great education in it." I'm the first one to advocate for people who, if you aren't playing and you're in the youth team, get yourself on loan,
Yeah.
go and do it, go get that advantage of playing men's football and get yourself ready because it's the best education that you're going to get. And this is why I'm a big supporter of having reserve teams back because I don't think these under 21s and under 23 leagues do anything for anybody because all you're doing is playing kids and you
Yeah.
don't learn and you don't progress. The only way that you get better is by playing with better people or by learning how to play against men because these are boys playing against men at the end of the day. And they've got to learn that, you know what, I'm going to get kicked, I'm going to get pulled, I'm going to get tugged everywhere. But I'm also going to learn about where should I be positionally?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you could extrapolate that as well because Ray's Cleary's come from West Brom, who were
Yeah.
three divisions above us. West Brom fans could quite easily see the same as us,
Mhm.
where he's on a he's at a team in a lot lower standard, a lot lower division, and they'll say, well, he may not be able to progress that with us. And to be fair, he may not do, but at the end of the day, you're scoring goals, and if you can score goals in any division, it may not necessarily translate to 20 goals a season in the team you're returning to, but it proves that you know where the goal is. And if you
Yeah,
know where the goal is in any division, you can then sharpen up your skills to basically transfer that over to a higher league.
absolutely. It's the best education that you can get is by going out on loan.
Absolutely.
Absolutely the best thing you can do. Because if you think that you could, it's very rare for a player to transition from a youth team to a first team without having something in between.
Yeah, there's only one that I can think of in recent years that's done that for Pools, and that's Joe Gray.
Yeah. I think the only one before that, that's other things, probably James Brown.
What a shame. What a
Yeah,
shame about James Brown.
absolutely. I've never seen such a, it's not a waste of talent, but I've never seen a player who's been so unfortunate with injuries.
Just
Just,
naturally gifted.
yeah. Yeah, it's actually quite sad.
Yeah, huge shame. But,
Mhm.
if we get more players like that, there was also a good point made by Danny, the other Danny, last week, about if you progress through the academy and the club can prove that they can produce talent, you're more likely to be sent talent by other teams who are looking to develop youth because if you're
Yeah.
proven to develop youth well yourselves,
Mhm.
teams will send good talent to you to develop for them as well. And it can only help the club in the long term.
Yeah, well, this is what I was thinking with this was my sort of worry when we had Brad Young and Owen Foster on loan was I'm hoping that the agreement between us and the clubs who are sending these players here is that they're going to be a number two. They might get a chance if we have an issue. Because if I'm Hull City, and I think this is why Foster actually went. I think they've seen he's been on the bench. How many times was he on the bench? Let's have a look. He was on the bench 8 times, never
I
played
think
a
he was here
minute.
a month or two, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they've just gone, you know what? He's not going to break into your side. We're going to call him back and send him somewhere else. But then that lacks a bit of trust from the clubs to
Yeah.
want to send you players because it's like, why should I send you a player? He's just going to sit on the bench. He might as well go and play for the under 23s for me, or I might as well go and send him somewhere else.
Yeah, to be fair, with Foster, it always felt like he was coming in as a backup keeper.
Yeah,
I don't think there was ever a sort of a thing with anyone at the club or certainly with journalists, etc., who were looking at it from the outside, fans thinking he's coming in to start. Like
yeah.
he never looked like that, did it? It always looked like because
No.
Dixon had the setback, it felt like we needed to bring someone in just in case Adam Smith went down.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I think that's probably right. He's probably right. I mean, we're not privy to the deal. None of us are we?
No,
So,
no, certainly not.
but I think it probably was in that instance where it was, yeah, we'll bring him in as a number two for a month, see what happens. Might extend it, might not. See what happens. But I think with Brad Young, I think it was definitely Leicester will probably want him to play.
Yeah,
And
I don't think he particularly hit the ground running, to be fair, Brad Young, 'cause he did get a couple of chances and he just didn't really inspire confidence with the fans, did he?
I think some of the keepers this season haven't inspired confidence. And I think we spoke about it a few podcasts back actually, where we were talking about decent pools keepers, and the last one we could think of was Scott Loach.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I think
And
I remember that. Yeah.
it's um it's been a problem position for us for a while, and it's a case of many have tried but few are chosen.
To be fair, if you think about the run that we've had back to, as you said before, Tony Williams, more than likely.
Yeah,
If you discount the period where we had Jan Butts and Aaron Lee Barrett competing for the number one jersey, which was a wonderful time for us all, I think either side of that, you had keepers who, quite frankly, were as good as you could get in the division.
oh, absolutely. I
Because
mean,
obviously you're going back to the Cardiff days, you've got the likes of Jim Provitt,
yeah,
Dimmy, and then you're moving through the years. If you go the other side of that, you've got probably Trevor Carson, Scott
yeah,
Flinders, Scott Loach. Like these are good keepers. And to be
yeah,
fair, a lot of the time in the seasons that we only just got stayed up, or we managed to sort of narrow it, ease away, I should say, at the final minute, the keepers were a big part in saving us quite a lot of those seasons. And I think we underestimated how good certain keepers were, like Trevor Carson, for example, until he
yeah.
left, which was
I'll
a shame.
I'll die on this hill, and it's Trevor Carson's the best keeper I've ever seen at pools.
Better than Jim Provitt
Yeah.
and
He
Dimmy.
he never played in a good Pools team, Trevor
That's true.
Carson. But good God, he saved us about 15 points one season.
He
It's
was
just
he was excellent.
I've never known a keeper where I've been so confident when it plays through one on one that he wasn't going to score.
The Allison of the lower leagues.
Yeah, he was just honestly, I'll hang me, I'll die on the hill of Trevor Carson as the best keeper I've ever seen at Pools.
He was excellent, to be fair. I mean, he's then gone on to the Scottish Premiership and he's done all right up there. Motherwell, I want to say.
Yeah, Motherwell, he
Yeah.
did have a move to Celtic lined up, but
Yes, I remember those rumours. Yeah, so
yeah, it fell through. He was on another pod. I think he was on Simon Ferry's podcast, and he said that it fell through. I can't remember who it fell through for. Might have been Scott Bain or someone like that. But anyway, yeah, decent keeper, and you don't get people like Celtic and teams like that sniffing around you when you're not decent.
Yeah, that's true. And we shall move on to the promised topic now of the divisions around and the National League itself. As we've already said, and I think you'll agree with me, just before we begin any further, we're out of the playoffs now, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
absolutely.
we can say that. 8 points off, 12 points to go. We're playing four of the top seven. It's very unlikely now. You would
Yeah,
have to say, I think we'd have had to win on Saturday just to give us something of a boost, and obviously that didn't happen. So, looking to League Two, first of all, we'll go through the four divisions that could feed into the National League next season, including the National League itself. So, for League Two, we've had a little look before we came on air as to who could be involved. I think we've narrowed it down to the bottom four in
yeah,
League Two, haven't we? Because
we have.
I think it's safe to say the teams above that, they're probably too far away from the zone to get dragged in. It'd be very surprising if those teams were to come down next season. So, in terms of League Two, the bottom two, coincidentally, the bottom two played each other Saturday gone, and then the next two up played each other Saturday gone. So that was an interesting rearrangement of the teams, you could say, because Carlisle beat Morecambe at Morecambe, and that lifted Carlisle up to second bottom. They're now 6 points off of Accrington in 22nd. They're on 43. Accrington were 3-0 up against Tranmere, who are a place above them, only to draw 3-3 thanks to an 11th minute of added time equaliser, which, I mean, I was watching Soccer Saturday at the time because I was watching from home. I was working from home, I should say, and Mike Dean was to
Being
be fair
Mike
to
Dean.
Mike Dean, yeah, he was being Mike Dean. To be fair to Mike Dean, I've never really thought much of him as a referee. However, I think we can all relate to the feelings that he had when you score an 11th minute equaliser to rescue a game. I think we've all been there before. But yes, so that's the state of play at the moment. Tranmere are fourth bottom on 44 points. They're 7 points clear. As I've said, the teams above that are on 46, 47, and 50. It's very unlikely they're going to get dragged in. 9 points clear, 12 to play for. So, in terms of those teams, we think Morecambe are down.
Yeah,
We said that before, yep.
yeah,
So,
I can't
because
see
they're,
them getting out of it.
yeah, they're 7 points off safety. It's very unlikely at this point. I think they've got some very difficult games in the running there. I'm assuming you've been to Morecambe. It's a decent away day. I think I do like going to Morecambe on the
Do you know what?
seaside.
Randomly, Morecambe I've never actually been to.
Have you not?
No, I've never been to Morecambe. Weirdly, been to Exeter and all that kind of jazz, but no, not Morecambe.
I've been to Yeovil in the southwest, but I've never been to Exeter, Plymouth, etc. I was due to go to Torquay once, but I was at a wedding on the same weekend, so I couldn't get out of it. In terms of Morecambe, I do like Morecambe. I've been a few times, seaside. Don't like the beach, but I don't mind the seaside. Fish there as well. They're quite a big haddock town, so if you ever go to Morecambe, it's not really cod. There are a couple of places that sell it, but it's mainly haddock. But the chips are nice because, seaside. And the stadium itself is very much sort of a lower League Two
Yeah,
stadium into non-league. Like, it's got the charm, I think, is a polite way of saying that. And it'd be nice to have them, they're north. They're a northern team. Any northern team that comes down or up, fine. We'll take that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And
Shorter away trips.
absolutely. And coming to Carlisle, Accrington, and Tranmere. They say there's a 6 point gap between Carlisle and Accrington. Those two teams play each other on Easter Monday in what could basically be doom for Carlisle in a particular scenario. And
I think
Tranmere,
it could even be sooner, really, couldn't it? I mean, if
yeah,
Tranmere and Accrington win on Friday
and
and
Carlisle
Carlisle
don't.
don't, they're all it's all done by the shouting, isn't it? Because the goal difference is that bad.
I mean, to be fair, if Carlisle lose on Friday, Tranmere don't even have to win 'cause they'll be 7 points clear with
Yeah,
nine to play for. So I think if Carlisle have any chance of surviving now, I think they do have to win. If not all of the games, they certainly have to win the next three to have
yeah,
any chance, sort of on the final day. They definitely have to beat Accrington. If they get beat by Accrington, they're down,
yeah, absolutely. They're down.
and
I mean, I think even 6 points to get to catch Accrington is
it's steep. I mean,
it's yeah, it's a
it
tall order to
obviously
follow.
helps. It helps that they play them because that's 3 points automatically
Yeah,
if they can get that one. I think they just have to win. They have to win the next two, I would say, to go level because the goal difference situation is not favourable to Carlisle at all. And I mean, I've been to all of those actually. I've been to all four of those grounds. Tranmere obviously being the biggest. The I wouldn't I wouldn't say glamorous for any team in the low regions, but
no.
they
I
are the most
I had a
established.
decent midweek there one day in 2005.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there.
Yeah,
Moments before disaster, I think, is the phrase for that one, given what happened to Cardiff. But yes, it's a very good stadium. I do like a trip to Tranmere. I can't see them going down. I think they're too far, personally. So I think
no,
it's out of Accrington and Carlisle. I think as long as Accrington don't lose to Carlisle, they'll be fine.
yeah,
I think if Carlisle, I wouldn't say if Carlisle beat Accrington, they're definitely staying up either, because I think they've got some very difficult games, Carlisle.
yeah, they have. Yeah,
And to be fair,
Uh,
that'll be a nice renewal of our previous history with Carlisle, should they come down as well, because we've all, if you haven't seen it, and where have you been if you haven't seen it, in terms of the rink end getting assaulted every time that they come in, it's a story to behold every time that they come forward. And to be fair, if and hopefully when we do get new owners, they'll have a sight on their hands if they come to the Vic during a game
well,
against Carlisle.
the ring end will just have a nice bit of terracing in there instead of seats.
I mean, it'll get that way if they keep going on the way they're
Yeah,
going. Yeah, you get teams that have been coming here for years, like Oldham, for example. If they don't go up and they'll be thinking, well, what's happened here? There's no seats anymore.
yeah.
We didn't even redesign it. We just got Carlisle to rip all the seats out. Hey, honestly. But that goes for League Two. I would suggest that Morecambe and Carlisle are probably going to come down.
Yeah,
At a stretch, Accrington might drop, but it's heavily dependent on Easter Monday. If the gap's still 6 points going into that and Carlisle win, you never know. Anything could
it would
happen.
be a disaster for Accrington to get relegated from this position.
Yeah, it'll be a miracle for Carlisle to get out of this position.
Yeah,
Same for Morecambe as well. Come to think of it, 'cause say the goal difference is quite favourable to Accrington,
yeah. They
and
only need to win one of the last four Accrington to stay up, and Carlisle need to win at least three. So it's
I'd say if Carlisle don't win all of their games from now on, I think they're in trouble.
yeah,
I think it'd be
absolutely.
very
Yeah.
difficult to see. It's very
Oh,
similar to us at the minute. If we don't win all of our games, we've got no chance, absolutely no chance, and even then, we might not get in anyway.
yeah.
I think that's quite safe to say.
Finish with
We
a bit of pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we usually beat teams who are top of the league when we have nothing to play for. So, it bodes well from that point of view. We've got Forest Green on the final day. We'll definitely beat Forest Green.
oh yeah, we'll beat
Like
that.
we'll be safe in mid-table. We're nowhere near anyone else. We'll finish definitely 11th or something like that because we won't be able to go higher or lower. And we'll beat Forest Green like 3-1 or something. Like it'll be a comfortable victory.
Well, there's nice symmetry to our last games as well, because the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth.
Oh yeah, they've moved, haven't they? Because Rochdale were
Yeah,
seventh, weren't they, before Saturday? Yeah,
so I quite like that.
I'd have been really happy if it was in reverse order. Like
Yeah,
if it had been Oldham in sixth, then Gateshead in fifth, then Rochdale in fourth, and Forest Green
Mhm.
there, but it's not quite that way.
No,
I mean, they're tight enough that it could go that way quite soon, quite soon. But yeah, it's very tight around the playoff places. In the actual playoff places, there's a 4 point gap between Halifax and Altrincham. We'll move on to the National League officially now. So we've got first of all the teams at the top. It's I mean, before Saturday, it looked like Barnet were basically nailed on. I'd still say they're very heavy favourites because they're 6 points clear of
yeah, 6 points
York
clear.
with 12 to play for. However, that draw against Wealdstone was very unexpected. And with York putting seven past Aldershot, it's a very good morale booster and momentum booster going into the final four. Is it safe to say, really, that Barnet, you would expect Barnet to go up from this position, wouldn't you?
I think if Barnet get 4 points from the last four games, they're up.
Yep.
Um, York have got to win all last four, and
And
even then,
home.
it might not be enough.
Um,
Um, if Barnet win two, they're up definitely.
yep.
Um, just another southern team out of the division.
Yep. We can
Uh,
only celebrate that. That's
yeah, and then
it's
I'm
always a
sure
good
you
thing.
fancy Forest Green in the playoffs.
Please. I'd love it, honestly. Barnet and looking at those teams in the playoffs there, if Barnet and Forest Green are the two to go up there, we've had a hell of a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
In
that
terms
means
of
that
mileage
York,
on your car, you certainly
say,
are.
yeah, York, Oldham, Gateshead, Rochdale, and Halifax are the others. If Barnet and Forest Green go up out of those seven, that's a
Mm.
really good result for the petrol tank.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I quite like my trip to York, so I'd rather they stayed in the division.
Well, yeah, I mean, so we're close, pretty much our closest. Obviously, we've got Gateshead. If Carlisle come down, they'll be fairly close and all. But
Closest thing to
you want
Darlow we've
teams,
got, isn't it?
yeah, you want teams that are close enough. I mean, Gateshead, I'll always um, state the obvious about their stadium, but at the end of the day, they're still close,
Yeah.
a lot closer than some, unfortunately. And looking at the other end of the league as well, it's Ebbsfleet who are already down. We already knew that, so that's another Southern team out. Filed Northern team. They are 10 points adrift with 12 to play. Safe to say they're pretty much down now
I'll
as well.
take File going down because every time I come back from there, I've got the flu.
Yeah, it is absolutely freezing every
Yeah.
time we go, and it's usually midweek, and it's usually either in January or March. So I think
Yeah.
we can put that one aside. And again, to be fair, that makes it all the more annoying about the results in
Hmm.
March, where basically nothing happened after they went 2-1 up inside 16 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a dreadful game,
No, it was. It was terrible, but
and they
that's us
weren't
against bottom
anything.
of the table teams, isn't it?
Exactly, there weren't anything. Like
No.
there were just nothing. There was nothing there
No.
from them either.
I'll
But
be honest, if I'm Josh Taylor, is it Josh Taylor? Yeah. Ebbsfleet's manager. Sorry, Josh Wright.
just right. Yeah, I
Josh Wright, sorry.
think Josh
Josh Taylor's
Taylor's the one
manager,
who got
sorry, I'm
sent off,
talking.
wasn't it, at Dorking? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking to myself, how are we in this? How are we relegated with the way that we played against us?
They weren't a bad side, were they? Because I
I thought
wasn't
they were
there.
decent.
I listened to it on the radio, but like from the highlights and from what I've heard, they weren't a bad side by any
They were.
stretch.
We've played a hell of a lot worse at home this season and got beat.
Yeah, that's true.
And I couldn't believe it, to be honest. I thought they were quite good. I thought I could see why I thought at one point I thought they were going to do the double over us.
Well, to be fair, I mean, we played the one that sticks out is Altrincham in
Hmm.
terms of how they basically put in the most professional away performance you'll ever
Yeah.
see in your life, where they defended for 87 minutes or something like that, whatever it was, and then
Yeah,
they
came
scored.
alive.
Like they just scored. Like it was just what literally one ball, one long ball scored,
Yeah.
and then they went and got the second, and that was
Yeah.
it. It was done.
I would stay by Ebbsfleet played better than than Altrincham did against us.
Yeah, in terms of
At
like
least
pure
they came
football.
out. They gave
Yeah,
it
I
a
mean,
bloody good goal.
yeah, I mean, you can't complain about the tactics that Altrincham employ because at the end of the day, they won and they're a lot closer to the playoffs than we are. But as you say, Ebbsfleet played well, and it's a shame in
Yeah.
terms of their support that they've gone down in the end. Looking a little bit further up, as we've said, Fylde have probably gone. Maidenhead had a very good result on Saturday against
Yeah, two
Halifax.
wins in a row.
Yes, so they've built up a little bit of momentum there. Their goal difference still isn't brilliant at -23. They're six behind Wealdstone, so it's not unsalvageable, but
No,
it's a little bit of a deficit. So they've got to make that up as quickly
it
as they
is, but
can.
I think Dagenham have probably got the best chance of staying up.
So you say that, but the way that Dagenham are at the minute off the pitch, there's a lot to frown on, shall we say?
Yeah.
I mean, you
If I'm
look
going to
at
hang my
the
hat on, I probably would say the four that are going to go down are the four that are in there now.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
Dagenham, if you've seen, I mean, to be fair to Dagenham, their game on Friday is against Ebbsfleet at home,
yeah,
which is
so
interesting. What that because if Ebbsfleet play like they did against us, there's every
we'll
chance
beat
that
them.
Dagenham could lose that game.
Yeah, they'll beat them. Absolutely, they'll beat
Um,
them.
but then after that, they've got Braintree away Easter Monday, which is a winnable game. The Braintree is staying up more than
They're quite
likely,
hard
but
to beat, you know.
they
They're
are.
one of those teams that they don't draw. They either win or they get beat.
To be fair, didn't we draw 0-0 against them twice this season?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
But they've only drawn 9 games this season, though.
yeah. So to be fair, they are. They're a good side, Braintree.
Yeah,
They're
they
not a
don't
side
concede many
necessarily you'd
either.
expect, but you know they've done all right for themselves.
Yeah,
As patronising as that sounds, and I do apologise to anyone listening from Braintree, but yeah, to be fair, on paper it isn't one of those teams that you would expect. And the longer that they defy those odds, the better the league will be for it because you need a mix of clubs in there. Dagenham's final game for the record is away at Solihull on the bank holiday Monday.
who themselves aren't doing very well.
No, they're not. Solihull are safe, to be fair, but
Yeah,
it's another one of those
unusually
where
for them.
Yeah, it's another one of those. Altrincham at home is their penultimate game, which if Altrincham are still in touch with the playoffs, that Altrincham will need to win that game. I think Dagenham are down, personally.
Yeah, I
A
think we're the
five
best goal
point
in the
gap.
world before then. Going
Yeah.
down.
I should say as well, because I haven't mentioned it's a 5 point gap.
Yeah.
Dagenham and Maidenhead are both on 44. Wealdstone and Boston are on 49. And to be fair, I went to Boston as well because they looked down and out at the start of the year.
Yeah, they've
They
come to
look
life, haven't
really,
they?
they have absolutely how we beat them 4-1
Yeah.
because they were I'm sure they were on a run of five away games, one in a row.
Yeah.
Game
Well,
to us.
they've they've won four of the last five.
Yeah, I mean, like even after us, yeah, they've
Yeah,
still
which is amazing.
kicked
I mean,
back
I
on
think we're
against.
the only we're their last defeat, obviously. But yeah, they've won four of the last five.
Yeah, so to be fair to them, they've pulled themselves right out of it, and they deserve great credit for that. It does remind us slightly of our escape season, if you
Mm.
like, where we had that great March, didn't we? I think we won all four of our games in March.
Something like that, yeah. I
Yeah, I
remember
think I
rightly.
remember Scott Harrison with a volley
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
box. I can't remember.
Yes.
I think it was against Cambridge, if I remember rightly. It was one of those
I'll
teams.
take your word for it. I can't remember specifically,
Yeah, I
but
can't
yeah,
remember
it
specifically.
was.
I'm sure it was like a team in orange or a team like in that shade, like that shade of color somehow. But yeah, it was one of those sort of moments where you thought a centre back volleying it in from the box. It just feels like it might be our time, and it went very well from us from there on, which is great. And if Ronnie Moore ever wants to step back into management, I shouldn't say that really, should I? You should never go back. We'll ignore what I've just said.
You can
But
stay. You can have his seat on the board.
oh yeah, I'm sure you say
Yeah.
he's welcome back anytime. Best manager in the football league and all that.
Yeah.
And hey, if anyone wants to break that song back out again. And that does for the National League. So to be fair, that's three more Southern teams going down if that's the case.
Yeah.
As long as Boston don't get sort of roped back into it. I know they're not north, but they're more north than a lot of the Southern teams. So
Yeah. The more north of Maidenhead.
they're certainly not more north than Wealdstone as well because they're on the
Yeah.
same points. But that sees to the National League. And now for the interesting leagues, shall we say, because the National League North and the National League South are two of the closest run title races you'll see in any country, in any division that you're likely to see. We'll start with the North. You've got Scunthorpe top of the league at the moment on 84. You've got Kidderminster second on 83, and you've got Brackley third on 83. I know Brackley will bring back a lot of PTSD for anyone listening, given what happened at the start of last season. But to be fair to them, they managed to do the well, I wouldn't say do the impossible, but they managed to get rid of Darren Sal for the fans. So I think a lot of fans will be grateful to Kidderminster for that. Sorry, to Brackley for that one. But yeah, so 84, 83, and 83.
Yeah.
It's worth saying Brackley have an inferior goal difference by quite a bit. Kidderminster have the best with 45. Scunthorpe are on 41, and Brackley are on 25. So it is quite a significant gap. But obviously, given that they're on the same points, all they need to do is hope that someone will drop points somewhere along the way.
Looking unlikely though. Scunthorpe only lost seven all season, and they don't concede many. They've conceded the least in the league.
29, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so to be fair, I mean Kidderminster have scored 78. That's more than anyone else in the league as
it
well.
is.
And I've been to Kidderminster, nice ground, Agbra.
Yeah.
It's
Good
again,
division, this.
it's a classic ground. It's got the terrace and etc. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a nice ground. Never been to Scunthorpe, never been to Brackley, so I can't comment on that. Anyone who went to Brackley in, I want to say November because it was, oh no, it was October, wasn't it? It was the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was back in
And
October, I think.
yeah, they'll speak better than me on that. Scunthorpe, I've again never been to, but Glanford Park always seems like one of those grounds. I think you were comparing it to Walsall before we came on.
It's very similar in obviously it doesn't have one stand bigger than the rest, but it's very similar in architecture, shall we say.
Hmm. I wouldn't mind Scunthorpe coming back up. Brackley are quite south for a North Division team.
Well, I've never understood how they work this National League North because I remember Bishop Stortford were in it a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, from what I understand, they basically pulled together everyone in the North and South League, so all 24 from the North, all 24 from the South, and then they split it geographically for those 48 teams.
Hmm.
So it's basically the most northern 24 teams are in the
Yeah.
North Division. Even if you're like near London, if you're in that 24, you go in the North Division, and
Yeah,
everyone
I
else is
mean
just chucked in the South.
it's mad really because a lot of these teams don't have I can't imagine Marine. They've got a rather large budget. So going to like Leamington, which is friggin' Birmingham, is like a northern game for them.
Well, Oxford City, who came down last season, they were put in
Miles,
the north.
yeah, that's miles away as well. I mean, Darlow are going to Oxford. That's
Yeah.
bad for a regional league. It's insane.
Yeah, and just to get a cheap pop from anyone who's listening as well, Darlington are on 65. They're 11th at 8 points off the playoffs with nine to play. It's not mathematically certain, but it's very unlikely at this point. So I think we can put the derby. Well, can you call it? It is a derby, isn't it? Technically, because they're the closest thing we've got, but obviously they're not particularly close geographically. I've
Ah,
always found that a weird subject because you hear a lot of teams go, "Oh, the derby's coming up," and they're like sort of 20 miles away from each other.
it's probably because we've played each other that many times. We've generally been in the same division.
Yeah.
It's the closest team to us. Um, but we've had some decent players from Darlow in the past. Brian
Oh,
Honour instantly springs to mind.
I was going to say, yeah, and if anyone hasn't listened to Brian, I swear I haven't queued this up either. You've just brought it up without me saying I'm posting it. But if anyone hasn't listened to the Brian on a podcast so far, it is pinned to the socials as it stands as well. So thank you for bringing that one up. That's a good little plug
I'll
from.
stack them up, you knock them down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll start writing those Love Actually style paper cards
Cue
that pop up on
cards.
screen. Yeah, because we can both see each other. I'll start like say, oh, mention this one, mention this one. No, but yeah, that's always there. But yeah, you are right. I mean, there's been a lot of. It's not like say Liverpool and Man United, for example, where
It's
team
just not a
players go
derby,
and
is
beyond.
it?
Well, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a rivalry certainly, but it's not
yeah.
a derby. You would never say it's derby. I think to be fair, the thing with that is as well. Obviously, Liverpool have Everton, and Man United have Man City, so they
Hmm.
have derbies in their own cities.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you look in the northeast, you look at us in Darlington, you look at Newcastle and Sunderland as well. Obviously, they're different cities, but they're by far the closest sort of to each other, if you like, because you're never going to get Newcastle playing Blythe, for example.
No,
Like it's
I think
just
it's
not going
because
to happen.
we're with us up here, we're because we're quite densely populated and spread about. So you have one team to one town, don't you, rather than if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're very sort of tribal up here, aren't we? Like
Yeah.
we have our own club, one club town, one club city, and it's just sort of centered around that club rather than having towns and cities split by two clubs, three clubs, like Birmingham being split by Villa and Birmingham, Liverpool being split by the Reds and the red and blue, etc.
Yeah.
And it's good that way, isn't it? Because
Yeah, I
we can
much
all unite
prefer
as a
it.
town. You come into the town and you don't have to pass like a different club to get here, etc. It's basically hostile from when you come into the town because
Yeah.
anyone you speak to will not support like Hartlepool Town. Like there won't be half Hartlepool Town and Hartlepool United.
Yeah.
It's a united front, if you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, nice to see that they're not coming up anytime soon. Although to be fair, a lot of people won't have that view. They'll want Darlington to come back up just so we have that rivalry again.
I'd like a game against Darlington, if I'm honest. I think I can't remember the last time. Was the last game we played against them? Was it when Effion Williams scored that absolute screamer?
Yeah.
Was that the last
Didn't
time
we
we
have
played them in
didn't
the
we have a
league?
daft we had a daft game against Darlington in the County Shield or something, didn't we?
Oh yeah, the
You
Durham
remember that
Challenge
when
Cup.
yeah, because
Yeah.
there was a lot of talk about like playing it at our place because Darlington got drawn at home, but that was when I don't know if they're still at Blackwell Meadows. There might
Yeah,
be.
they are, yeah.
Yeah, but it was one of those where the ground seemed too small, and obviously, even though it was a competition that we never bother with, the
Mhm.
fans suddenly got interested because it was Darlington, and the
Yeah.
police were alarmed because they thought, "Oh dear God, like are we going to have like 3,000 Pools fans trying to take over a patch of grass?" But in the end, I think it went all right, and obviously we
Yeah,
won.
patch
So,
of grass, I like that.
well, basically, isn't it? Do you remember? Didn't they have the problem with getting promoted to the National League one season? Didn't they? Because they only had like a few seats or something. Like,
Yeah, I
to
think
have
you
a
have to
certain amount of
have
seats.
500 covered seats, don't you, to get in the National League, and they
Yeah.
didn't have it.
It's a brilliant contrast, isn't it, to Gateshead trying to get into the EFL. Like they
Yeah.
didn't have the lease on the stadium, etc. Whereas all Darlington needed was 500 covered seats, and they'd have been able to get into the playoffs, and they
I think
couldn't
they've
do
got it
that.
now, haven't they? Because they've got that ridiculous stand that
Yeah,
covers half the pitch and looks like they nicked it up from a bus stop.
they
Yeah.
basically like sort of knocked up a little stand in there to try and make sure that they were compliant, just
Yeah.
in case they came up.
They nicked some seats from St Andrews or something to.
Yeah, they did. I'm sure someone donated seats to them.
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was. It's a bit like I think West Ham donated the turnstiles to us, didn't they?
probably,
How well that
probably. Yeah.
went. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was. I think I was told
Pretty
about
sure I saw Victoria Regina written on one of them.
that. Hey, honestly. But yeah, just looking at the North, just to finish off the North. I mean, the fixtures are okay. It must be said as well, to be fair, because Spennymoor, they were in and around the
Against
playoffs for quite a long time. And it must be said as well, full credit to Spennymoor for their FA Trophy exploits as well. They're off to Wembley against Aldershot. I think it's the 11th of May. I want to say it's definitely a
I
Sunday.
think so, yeah.
But
Absolutely
yeah,
buzzing for
so
Spike though.
fantastic for Graham Lee and everyone
Yeah,
there. It's superb. I think Mark Simpson's the media manager as well.
yeah,
So
it's
brilliant for everyone there. They've dropped to 10th. They're 4 points off the playoffs at the moment. I think it'll be a very tall ask to get back in now because they've still got 3 games to play. But obviously, you're counting on teams dropping points. They've got to have 3 teams above them drop points. Any 3 from 5. Charlie are fifth on 73. Anyone from fifth to ninth dropping points could let Spennymoor back in, but it's very difficult to see that happening now.
whatever happens there, they've had an amazing season,
Oh, they've had
Spike.
an outstanding
Yeah.
season. Can you? I mean, if you ask any fan of any club, if that was their season to be, I mean, if we'd love a trip to Wembley,
Yeah.
we're never getting a trip to Wembley at this point. But we'd love a trip to Wembley. So, to be fair, it's a good question, that isn't it? Would you sacrifice a playoff place if it meant going to Wembley?
No,
You just want to get out of the league.
I want to get out of the division.
Yeah. See, I
Yeah.
was thinking about that. I think I'd probably agree. But then there's no guarantee of getting out of the playoffs, is there?
No,
You know
exactly.
you're going to get to Wembley. Like,
Yeah.
say if we were in their position, we were playing Aldershot, so you've got a decent chance of winning as well.
Mm.
Like you've got, I'm not saying we definitely beat Aldershot, but we'd have a decent chance of beating Aldershot. So like you take trophy at Wembley.
Oh, if I'm in
You know,
Spennymoor's position with 3 games to go and I'm 4 points behind the playoffs,
absolutely you would.
I'm absolutely we're winning at Wembley.
Yeah,
And that's all I'm
absolutely.
thinking about. Because looking at the table, they can't really finish any worse than 11th, which is only one place further down than they are.
Yeah, that's
So you
true.
might as well lose your last 3 games and go smash it at Wembley.
Yeah,
Because you're not
yeah,
going to do out else. So why not?
yeah, absolutely. But it's credit to them for what they've done this season and been
Yeah,
excellent.
absolutely. Great job, boys.
And looking at the National League South, that's somehow just as tight, if not even tighter, in terms of the title there. Worth saying as well, for anyone who doesn't know, it is one up automatically. It's the same as the National League into League Two. You only get one coming up, and then you get one from the next 6 come up from the playoffs. So it is exactly the same system as the National League. And as you pointed out earlier on, which team is top of the South? Truro,
Truro.
who couldn't
Imagine if
be
Truro and
any
Torquay
further
come up.
away. It couldn't be any further away from Hartlepool if they tried. Honestly, if we went any further than Truro, we'd probably end up in the English Channel. That's
Yeah.
how far away it is. It's honestly, if we, and as you've said, they're Torquay are in the playoffs as well. They're fourth. They're pretty safe in the playoffs. They're 3 points off top, so they still could come up automatically, but they'd have to rely on the top three dropping points. And at the minute, is it likely? Yeah. To be fair, Torquay have to go to Truro on Good Friday, so that's a really interesting game. If Truro win that, you would think they've got a really good chance of winning the league
Yeah.
coming up. I think
I
because
think they're obviously in the driving seat. They've got best goal difference of the top four. I think Dorking are out of it now. I think the best they can hope for is a playoff place. Um, John Askey doing a really good job at Truro.
it'll be interesting
Truro.
if he comes back in next season.
It's a bit of a random one that when he got appointed down in Truro. So I was just like, God, he couldn't get any further away from Hartlepool if he tried.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that was probably the intention after how he
Yeah,
treated. Yeah. I mean, I
yeah,
must say with John Askey, I don't think he was helped by various factors. I think his style of play wasn't very pretty on the eye, and the fact that it didn't get the results meant it was inevitable what was going to happen. I must say though, the amount of injuries he had to deal with
yeah,
as a manager, and I must say as well, I've always said, especially in terms of the top flight, etc., where they've got massive squads, like injuries. I don't like using injuries as an excuse,
hmm.
but like the amount of injuries he had to deal with.
Yeah. He had some absolutely ridiculous ones. He must have. I mean, he mustn't have been far off not being able to field an entire bench, if I'm
Yeah.
honest. or at least sticking the kids in there.
I think the biggest one from his point of view was Mancini because after the August that he'd had, he
Mm,
basically tormented every team that he'd come up against on his
yeah,
own, and then to lose that player and it all just went downhill. I think Dodds as well. Dodds was another one because he got injured against Fylde,
yeah,
didn't
he
he, on
did.
the
He did his cruise
Saturday,
ship, didn't
and
he?
that was the cruise shit, and he was out. But then it was Mancini, 2-0 up, Chesterfield. Everything was brilliant, and then he went off. We lost
Yeah,
that game, and we never looked back. And it just got worse and worse and worse. The 5-2 against Oxford City was just as bad.
that was. I said it to my dad. I went down to that. It was an absolute scorcher down there that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, finished 5-2, didn't it? And
Yeah, because
it
Callum
just felt
Cook,
like something had changed.
yeah, because
And you can take it, you can look back at the stats as well from that time, and you can see the change in form, and it's on that game.
yeah, I mean Callum Cook scored one of the goals of the season that day, didn't he?
He did, but
Free
I didn't
kick.
bloody celebrate it.
Well, yeah, I bet he won, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I did a drop run for the parents. I think it was the tribute festival at Seaton Carew, I think.
Yeah.
It was the one near the open jar, if I remember rightly. Basically, when we left the house, it was 2-0
Mm.
or 2-1. I can't remember. We were definitely in front. By the time, and the traffic was horrendous as well, because you know what it's like at Seaton when they do a tribute, like it's all corned off and you have to
Yeah.
follow the specific route, and it was very sort of heavy traffic. By the time I'd gotten to, I got to the festival and it was we were winning. By the time I got to, for everyone who's living in Hartlepool, I want to say the Stag and Monkey pub. By the
Yeah.
time I got the Stag and Monkey pub, we were 4-2 down. It was that quick. Like that's how quickly it went
Yeah,
from
it wasn't
winning
a
to
nice game. It
yeah,
wasn't a nice day.
yeah, to getting well beaten. And from that point on, like they say, the injuries just kept stacking up. I think I remember him saying in an interview, I can't remember whether it was with Rob Law or the Mail or whoever it was, and he just said, "I've never dealt with this many injuries in my life. Like everyone was just dropping like flies."
I
And in the
think it was
end,
probably because I think we changed training grounds back to Maiden Castle, hadn't we?
quite possibly, yeah, it was around
And
that
I
time.
think we were probably back on the 4G.
Yeah,
And
hadn't adapted.
yeah, it's you ask for injuries on stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. But looking back to his current club, for his sake, instead of looking back at times gone past, we've got Truro against Torquay. Like I say, if they beat Torquay, they're in pole position because Worthing have to go to Eastbourne Borough, who are the other team in the top three. They are third, so second play third, or should I say third play second, and then first play fourth. So one of those two teams have got to drop points.
Yeah.
If Truro beat Torquay, they're in a really, really good position.
And we're all on a train to Penzance next
And
season.
then we're all on a train to Penzance next season. And I mean, if you look beyond that as well, Truro then, first of all, Dorking have to play Worthing as well. So Worthing have to play two of the teams immediately below them. I think Dorking are fifth at the minute, aren't they? So they've got
Yeah,
to
they
play
are.
two teams just below them in the last three. Whereas once Truro have got Torquay out of the way, they go to Weston-super-Mare and then they are at home to St Albans, who could be relegated by that point. So they're fourth bottom. So they're in a very good position to come up, quite frankly. And then, like you say, we're all on the train to Penzance and we'll all have a beer with John Askey and ask him what happened when he was here. We'll invite him in the 1908.
I'll ask him where he got his Nike Air Max from.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine, to be fair, it's not a bad job, is it, Truro?
No.
Southwest,
There's worse
not far
places to be
away.
in the world than Cornwall, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then looking at the playoff teams as well, Weston-super-Mare is seventh. So it's not the easiest game for Truro, but you prefer that to the likes of Dorking and Torquay, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think Weston-super-Mare playing now, actually.
I think.
But I must say, we're recording this on Tuesday night. It's currently 8:30. Weston-super-Mare currently leading Tonbridge Wells, I think it is, isn't it? That's their full name.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
how
that
low
puts
we've
them in the
sunk.
playoffs then.
Yeah, this is how low we've sunk, by the way, in terms of like if we get relegated, we won't play those teams because we're not going to be in the south. However, this is the level of team that is in the division below us. So we've got to be very, very careful about what could happen in the divisions to come. Tonbridge are 14th. Just to say, so if Western-super-Mare do win that game, they'll jump above Maidstone into seventh, which is the final playoff place. After Maidstone, who are in eighth as it stands, you've got Farnborough who are on 59. So I think we can safely discount anyone below
Yeah, it's probably going to be a bit of a mathematical uncertainty for that to happen.
mathematical fudge, shall we say,
Yeah.
for that to happen. So yeah, I mean, would you like Torquay? I know, obviously, it's a bit of a
No.
way, but I think all of those teams are away. Just for the record, we've mentioned Worthing, Eastbourne, Borough, Torquay, Dorking, Boreham Wood are sixth, obviously London way, and Western-super-Mare have just jumped into seventh. Maidstone are the other possibility. It's all very, very south because it
Well,
wasn't going to stay north, was it? We were always going to run across someone.
if you get rid of Barnet and put Boreham Wood in there, that's six and one half a dozen the other. They're right
Basically
next
the
door to each
same, yeah.
other.
Not far away, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
Torquay's nice. I wouldn't mind going to Torquay. Like I say, I would have liked to have gone, but the wedding got in the way, so.
You could
Uh,
go you could go to the old folks home in Eastbourne if you wanted to.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, when I had Brian Honor on, again, this is the second plug. But when I had Brian Honor on, he was talking about when his kid was born, and it was back in the day where when they had teams playing teams who were at the other end of the country, they played
Mm.
them both in the same week to basically stay at a
Yeah,
hotel to
stay
get it
down.
out of the way. So they played Exeter and Torquay in the same week, and that was it. Like they didn't have to go back to that and pay
Mm.
it twice, if you like. So, I mean, you could potentially do that again. I mean, Yeovil are currently in our division at the minute, of course. So even if one of those two came up, you've got sort of the southwest, if you like,
think
and they could do the same with us and Gateshead.
I think the issue there is you're thinking logically.
That is true.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often, does it?
No,
No,
it's not going
certainly
to happen,
not.
is it?
Certainly not. But
No.
it's again, you never know. In the future, someone with common sense may well come in and be dampened down by the people who run football and play football, which isn't ideal for us. But moving on from the divisions, and say that's a little rundown of who could come up. I think at the moment you're looking at Truro possibly coming up from the south. You've got the likes of Torquay, Dorking, Worthing, Eastbourne in the playoffs. Scunthorpe, Kidderminster, Brackley are all in the running for the title in the National League North. And then coming down from League Two, you have got probably at this point Morecambe and Carlisle, and it could be Accrington or Tranmere, but less likely from that respect there. So, moving on to our current fixtures, because even though it does feel like the end of the season is nigh, which it is, but in terms of things to play for, it almost certainly is. But we still have games to come. We've got the game against Oldham on Friday night. No, it isn't. It's Friday at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right. I am going to Oldham. Can someone please remind me that it is a 3 o'clock kickoff come Friday? Because if I sat off at like half three and 10 tees on and Rob Law's halfway through the first half, I'd be mortified. Right. So Friday, 3 o'clock, Oldham. Can you see us getting anything out of that?
We never get anything from Oldham.
No, I've been twice and we drew the first one 0-0 and we lost the second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
I've,
I think the
I've never
second
seen us
one,
win at Oldham.
I think the second one, we were speaking about John Askey earlier on. The second one was, I think, the last game that John Askey had.
Yeah, it was. That
Because
was
that was
the
the one
that was
where
the day
Mike
we all
Fondop
turned on him.
jumped the railing and tried to start a riot.
Yeah. It wasn't great that.
No, it was very. Everything had taken its toll by that point, unfortunately, and the fans just turned.
Yeah, it was
When the
awful. It
fans
was quite
turn, you're
awful to
done.
be there and experience, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't
nice.
great. The first one was weird as well because the first time I went was the 0-0. That was in 21 because that was when I was moving down to Manchester to study. So I went because like I was moving down anyway. So I chose that weekend to go because I was due to start studying. I think on the Tuesday it was. So I said, well, I'll go down on the Saturday and I'll go and watch the Oldham game.
Hmm.
And it was the game where all of the fans had come out in protest against the former owner. So there were
I
all
was
dressed
at that one.
yeah,
Was
so
it?
a lot of them were dressed as clowns. They were
Yeah, I
carrying the
was at that
coffin
match.
everywhere. Yeah, there
Yeah.
was the weird coffin they were carrying, and it was a morbid atmosphere. And then the game itself was a nothing.
Hmm.
It was pretty much a nothing because A, it had been overshadowed by everything pre-match, and B, there just wasn't a lot of quality on show at all. It was very similar to Barnet away that I went to
First
a while
time,
ago.
first time I went to Oldham was in 2004.
Cardiff,
No, it was
Bristol City.
was it the Cardiff? Yeah, it was the Cardiff season. Sorry,
I was Cardiff.
we got beat 3-2, and Westy scored from about 60
30
yards.
yards. Yeah,
It,
35 yards. I remember it.
and it
Daisy cutter
bounced
across the
about
floor.
400 times before it
Yeah.
went in.
Yeah, we played them. Was that the season where we also played them in the Tin Pot Trophy and we got beat as well? It was Rob Lee's.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, it
he
was.
played. I
Yeah,
think
Rob Lee was
it
playing
was, yeah,
for him.
and
Yeah,
the
that's
beat
right.
us in the LDV vans. I think it was at that point.
I think that might have been on the Tuesday night, and I think it was this
Yeah.
Saturday that we played them again. I think we played them twice in a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was when Westwood got. Yeah, I remember because I've still got the DVDs of those two seasons, the Bristol City season and the Cardiff
Hmm.
season. And I just remember like the 3-2 one, and he just took the shot. It's something that we don't see much anymore. Is it like teams
Like shooting
seem
from outside the
as though they
box.
can shoot from
Yeah.
outside the box, and not even just from outside the box, but from that far out as well.
Yeah, that
He
was
just
good.
took a chance, and it just sort of bobbled in. It's a sort of bobbler that you'd expect from like 10 yards out, like where it just miscues and bobbles it over the line, and he did it from 35 yards. But yeah, you are right. It's very rare that we do anything at Oldham. I hope that changes for my own sake.
Well, I've been 4 times. I've never seen us win there.
Yeah, twice and never seen us win. So fingers crossed from that point of view. Gateshead at home on Monday as well, because that'll be before I record another episode. So I mean, we have a better record of Gateshead at home than we do away by some distance.
Their
Still
form's
don't
turned as
think.
well.
Well, I mean, they lost five in a row before Saturday,
Five
something
or
like that.
six in a row, yeah. And then I think
Six,
they've won
yeah.
twice, haven't they?
And obviously the beat Forest Green away, which is a brilliant result for them. They needed it as well, to be fair, because the way they were going, they were looking in danger of dropping out of the playoffs, and it's boosted them back up to fifth, and now they're 6 points clear again. So
Hmm.
that's done them the world of good, that little bump. So I don't know. I don't know, because it's really unpredictable now, isn't it? Because on one hand, we've got nothing to play for, and you could quite easily see the players just sort of taking it easy and they're not wanting to get injured for us signing them or potentially another club looking at them. But it's also one of those where, as a club, we just love playing teams at the top of the league when we've got nothing to play for.
Well, it's a good job, seems though, for them or above us.
Yeah, well, we love it, don't we? Like,
Yeah, we do.
remember, obviously, when we got relegated the first time and we played Doncaster in a game that no one expected us to win,
No,
like
because
we
they
all
were going
thought
for
we
the
were
title,
done.
weren't they?
Well, yeah, Doncaster would
Yeah,
have
they
won
were.
the league with a win because they were top at the start of the day, and we basically handed the title to Portsmouth
Yeah,
because Portsmouth put six past Cheltenham or something like that, and
yeah,
we
it was something
obviously we
stupid.
beat Doncaster and handed them the title, even though we still went down. So it served us no purpose. We still pulled it out from nowhere, even though we were going down anyway. Honestly, like the games before that, we could have won and didn't. That game against Cheltenham away,
That was a
where we
lot.
all, it was weird that. Like it
Yeah,
was a
it just
bizarre
wouldn't go
game
in.
because if I remember, wasn't it like a really bobbly goal?
Yeah, it was
Just
a
like,
right scramble,
yeah,
and
it
it
was a
just
scruffy goal, yeah.
we had chances and it just wouldn't go in.
Yeah, I think there was one sort of fairly close to the end of the game, if I remember rightly, where I think it was another bobbler and it just like there was a scramble, it wouldn't go in. Did it hit the post or did the keeper
Yeah, I
turn it
remember it hitting
wide or
the
something?
post.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where we were all so deflated on the way back. I was on the coach and it was just a funeral atmosphere because we thought
Yeah, it
that's
was
it.
right.
Because we knew we were playing Doncaster the next week and we just thought that's it. Like we're done here.
Mm.
Because, that happened. But like I say, we always turn it on. And we look at a few seasons it might have been the next season actually where we played Salford at home and we won 3-2. And that was the season they went up in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was.
Yeah, and it was one of those where I think to be fair, Salford had made quite a few changes because they didn't want to get anyone injured for the
They
playoff.
um
But
they strategically left us beating them out of the Sky documentary.
I bet they did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Strategically, yeah,
yeah,
in air quotes. And yeah, it's just one of those. Tranmere is another one where we all went away to Tranmere dressed as clowns and they got like 80 points or something, 85, 90 points or something like that. And
Mm.
they were by far the second best team in the league that season. I can't remember who went up automatically, but they then went on to win the playoffs again, Tranmere. And again, we tortured them.
Yeah,
We absolutely. It was the one where Reece Oates. It was Reece Oates' last game in his first spell, and he scored that little flicked goal. He came off the bench and had like one of the worldy performances.
yeah.
Sort of showed you what he was going to be for us in his second spell. But he absolutely came on, tortured them. We tortured them. We came back from 1-0 down, 1-2-1. We can't help ourselves come the end of the
No,
season. Like
it's
we've got.
probably because pressure, like you said, pressure's off. Got nothing to play for.
I know. Like you see a lot of teams that sort of their heads go to the beach
Mm,
when, it comes to the end of the line, whereas we just think, well, we can start smashing teams now.
yeah,
It's really weird.
it is. Well, let's hope we get 12 points out of these next four then.
If we get 12 points out of the next four and we get into the playoffs, honestly, I'll put a bet on the lottery.
Well, we can still finish fourth.
Oh, yeah, we could, and that's mental. It's not going to happen, but
No,
it's
it's not going to
mental
happen,
to think
but
that. Like, we're 10 points away from fourth, aren't we? We're 10 points
yeah.
away from fourth and fifth. It's very unlikely. We are 8 points away from sixth and seventh. It says a lot that we've got this far into the episode, and I haven't yet mentioned how far we are away from the podcast. That's how much we thought it wasn't going to happen.
No,
It
it's
must be
it's not
said.
though, is it?
Of course, it's not.
No.
Also, it's a nice little sort of bonus that we're on a positive goal difference for once as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can keep that because it's been a while since we've done that as well. I
Plus
think,
one.
yeah, plus one. We'll take
Plus
that. What is
one.
it? 54? No, 53 scored, 52 conceded. Yeah, it's a one of those, and it's just as you say, draws have killed us, unfortunately.
17 draws.
Yeah,
Most
13
in the
wins,
division.
17 draws, 12 losses. It's not the worst win. Sorry, it's not the worst loss column.
No.
12 losses is not bad at all, really.
No, it's not.
Draws.
It's only what joint fifth worst in the division.
Yeah, Halifax and Southend have lost 12. You've got Barnet, York, and Forest Green are in single figures, as you'd expect. You've also got Oldham on 10. Other than that, no one's lost less than,
Yeah.
which is,
Halifax, Southend, same amount.
yeah,
So
which is a
it's just
shame.
the draws. Draws have killed us.
Yeah, and then I said we've won 13. We've got Maidenhead, who are third bottom, who've won 12.
That's
We've
all you
got
need to know.
Wealdstone. We've got Wealdstone, who were fifth bottom. They've won 12 as well.
Boston 113.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
what
it's
can you do?
relegation form wins and promotion defeats.
Yeah, and quite frankly, middle of the table draws, and that's where we've
Yeah.
ended up.
Yep.
Like, there's always a draw specialist every season, isn't there,
Seems
in
to
the
be
league?
us, I would say.
And this season, it is us. So fingers crossed we can turn some of those into victories next season. If we can start in the next four games, that would do us the world of good. And fingers crossed, a takeover is imminent. As we're recording this, nothing's happened.
No.
We've had no updates since the last one. Does it feel like, just as a sign off, does it feel like that's positive that things are going on behind the scenes and nothing sort of negative is leaked at any point?
No, I think no news is good news.
Yeah,
Um, these these things take time.
yeah,
Company purchases and sales aren't done in a day. There needs to be proper due diligence taken. Proof of funds has to be there. That's one thing that needs to be there is proof of funds. Um, I think he's doing the right thing in that we are looking for a serious buyer, one who's essentially not, he's not just going to sell us to a snake oil salesman at the end of the day. Because the last thing we want is for him to sell the club to find out the guy who buys it significantly worse, and we end up going bust in a year. That's the
yeah,
worst case scenario, and that's what nobody wants.
yeah. I think, to be fair, when it came to Gary Coxall, for example, coming in, and was it Goldberg, Peter Goldberg? I think, if I'm
Yeah, yeah.
remembering that rightly.
Yeah,
Obviously,
was it
he's
called Mark
he's
Goldberg, something like that?
Pete. I think it was Peter Goldberg. I think
Peter Goldberg,
it's
that's it.
something like that. I'm trying to think, because obviously, if I then say he's gone to jail and that's not his name, then
No,
it's not great for me.
the person
But
associated with Gary Coxall.
yes, the
Yes.
the artist formerly known as Peter Goldberg, or whatever he's called. But yeah, either way, obviously there was implications there, and that obviously went south very quickly. And if you've ever listened to Craig Hignett before speak on the time where Gary Coxall was there and he was manager, honestly, that game against Port Vale in the cup, he spoke about it because I went to when Jeff Stelling started his tour about
Mm,
20 years ago now, feels like, because he's been doing a tour for 20 years, hasn't he? I think he feels like he's been around the country three times. But when I went sort of towards the beginning, I think it was 2 years ago now, and Craig Hignett was the sort of special guest, if you like. He was comparing it, and he had some good stories to tell himself. Hignett, he was very open with what happened when he was here, and one of the stories was about away at Port Vale in the FA Cup. I think we lost 6-2,
mm.
It was certainly like a thumping scoreline. And it was, I think he said that the players had found out that they weren't getting paid or that they hadn't been paid before and they were promised it on the day of the game and it hadn't arrived.
Yeah.
Something like that. There was something that had gone wrong. So I think Billy Painter was, if he wasn't the captain at the time, he was certainly sort of the leader in the dressing room. He basically said to Ignat, like, what's going on? Like they were pretty much refusing to play at the time, which at the end of the day, if you're not getting paid, you know,
No.
fair enough, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, you're not going to do
not
your
getting
job,
paid.
are you?
Absolutely.
You're not going to
So
go and do my job for free.
Absolutely. So I think Hignett was trying to get onto Coxall and say, well, what's going on? And Hignett said, as a bloke, Coxall was, a canny fella. Like
Hmm.
he was good to listen to, like he was a good laugh and all that. He said, as a businessman, you couldn't trust him as far as you could throw him.
Hmm.
And I think it was Painter who basically offered Coxall for a fight out on the car park after the game. So I
That
think
doesn't surprise
Coxall
me.
yeah, and I think he'd Coxall had gone into the dressing room after the game because the players had basically not put the required effort in you would suggest as a fan. But obviously they hadn't been paid,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure like as Craig Ignat tells it, like Coxall basically came into the dressing room afterwards and had a pop in that, and I think Billy Painter wasn't best happy. I can't remember the exact details, so I won't spread hearsay because I say I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly, but I say it was a really entertaining story. But the whole point of that being be careful with the incoming because you've got to get it right because
Yeah, you do.
if it goes wrong in that respect, it could get worse.
Yeah, exactly.
It could
So
quite
you've got to
easily
do your
get
due
worse.
diligence.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
fingers crossed that a resolution comes. I imagine that now that we've recorded this on Tuesday, there'll be an announcement tomorrow saying that someone's taken over and we'll have to re-record and all that stuff with the emergency podcast. But
That's best case scenario, isn't it?
I mean, absolutely. Like, I'd rather that than have this drag out for another 4 weeks. I'll
Exactly.
take that. But even so, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully, I'll be recording the next one with some positive news, either from a takeover point of view or from two victories from two. Daniel, thank you very much. It's
No
been
worries.
a very nice chat about many different things. I think we can say it's been a varied chat this evening, and as we say, fingers crossed for a positive resolution on multiple fronts. Cheers, Dan.
Yeah. No worries. Cheers, mate.